orange smog here in New York City. Have you heard about it? Many cities on the East Coast primarily have this big blanket of orange smog right over the top of it. Our woke friends to the north in Canada, their forest fires got out of hand, and well, this is what we're dealing with. It's complicating some people's lives, but it's manageable. I'll tell you, it actually smells like wood smoke. It's not an unpleasant odor, to be honest. It's kind of weird when it seeps into the building, but outdoors, I can deal with it. Folks with respiratory issues, though, that's a real thing, a real complication. The White House is trying to exploit this, saying it's all because of global warming and the normal talking points that go with that. I don't think that's the case. I think it's a forest fire. This actually has happened a couple of times before in history, and for the time being, we can live with it, but it is pretty, it actually is pretty. It's a beautiful, interesting aura the city has right now.
Greg Kelly over there on Newsmax apparently loves him some orange skies covered in smog and smoke and fire coming sweeping down from Canada. And it's beautiful, it's pretty. No, you guys didn't hear any of that wrong. It smells like wood burning. I have a solution. It's because wood is burning crazily and everywhere and raging down into New York. Air quality is low, but he likes to go outside and take in some deep breaths of air. The way that they try and flip the most disastrous things and expect people to believe it is outrageous. And I wonder if people still are. I can't imagine that you might be. But still, Greg Kelly will make you think that. I want to point out one other small thing, because the theme of this whole thing is how he was talking about how the White House wants to blame this on climate change. This comes 10 seconds after he said, our woke friends to the north in Canada are dealing with wildfires. Our woke friends to the north, what does the woke accusation have to do with these wildfires? Is there something that they did as far as being woke, as far as allowing people to be who they are? Maybe some policies that allow some equality that leads to wildfires. But what they don't believe leads to wildfires is climate change, which is what he's very upset about, which they're all gonna try and push back on because that's what they think about. Politically motivated arguments. Matter of fact, this one Twitter account did point out, in case you guys were wondering, that's real, and it looks just like Blade Runner 2049. Here's that tweet and the comparisons. You think it's the same damn thing. As a matter of fact, that real image on the top of New York is actually darker than what they portrayed in Blade Runner. But you know, anytime we see all of our fiction and science fiction is coming to life, ignore it, move on, and say that go outside, take a nice deep breath of smog and smoke-filled air, and say you're doing better because of it. It's almost like they tell people to run around and contract COVID because it's not real either. It's the same thought process. We keep seeing it. Brian Kilmeade over on Fox News, he had issues with the climate change argument as well. This is what he said.
Every time it's real hot, climate change. Every time it's real cold, climate change. When it rains a lot, it's because of climate change. And you guessed it, Canada with burning forests, 400 separate fires, is because of climate change. AOC said it. Of course, climate change czar John Kerry said it. And
for some reason, the argument can be from folks to say things disparagingly with the tone, and then suddenly it doesn't make any sense. 1 second they say climate change, then they say climate change, then they say climate change without looking at any facts or dispelling the scientific evidence behind what's happening with all this. I looked at a little bit of scientific evidence behind it from experts that actually study this, that don't sit into a studio and lie to you every day. Dominion voting systems. This is what some folks said of why Canada is burning right now. This isn't a graph, you guys, I looked this up. The fire season is also lasting longer now because of climate change. I didn't see President Biden saying that, I'm seeing experts say that. Spring is coming weeks earlier and fall is coming weeks later. No, it's not about just one day of temperatures, it's about an expanded long-term change that's happened with our climate. Still, there's more time for those fires and grasslands to actually burn. The jet stream, which also creates weather and moves it from east to west, also contributes to the fires. It's getting weaker, is what these experts also said, because its strength depends on the temperature differences between the Arctic and the South. And as those lessen, then the jet stream lessens as well. I don't know this stuff. I'm not a meteorologist. I'm not a study of climate science. I read people who know what they're talking about and what it is that's happening in our world. So maybe, outside chance, we don't have to listen to Greg Kelly tell everyone to go outside and take in nice deep breaths of smoke, because that's the alternative thought process with this. There's tons of information about how this happens, why it's happened for so long, and the temperature changes that can be from just 1 degree and how it changes to 12%, 13% change, and how much we'll see disasters like this. Lightning happens more, which then causes many of these, and of course, more human error like flicking a cigarette or dropping a match and things like that, or just straight arson. These things happen because of that, but they're gonna tell you with a snide tone, climate change, and that's gonna make you believe it. That is until your house is burning down and you're like, wow, the sky is orange. I should listen to Greg Kelly and go suck some of it in. The Surfs tweeted this out too, because check this out. The New York Post's headline, again, it's going back to how dare Canada do this to us? Canuck wildfires plunged New York City into eerie, smoky hell. Now, by the way, what else I noticed was how often does US media talk about where this is coming from? We keep talking about how New York City is orange. Yo, what's happening further north? Is it orange there too? Because we don't see any of those pictures. We're not talking about how it affects those residents. It's very American-centric type of thought process. Hey, the sky's orange in New York. Can you believe something's happening in Canada? Started there, and the problem is a severe problem. Here's some of the eyewitness accounts from folks that are actually seeing this happen in front of them. And I wonder if they're thinking, let me go outside and take a nice deep breath of smog and smoke. Watch.
This is what my view from Jersey City normally looks like looking over Manhattan compared to today.
The hallway smells like nothing but smoke, so I had to put this towel down. This is how it looks outside. I have my air purifier going. It's nothing but smoke.
The only thing left, you guys, I think we should look back into some of the things as recent as 3 to 4 years ago, where they're making fun of AOC and anyone else that's talking about our climate change issues and how we should do something about it. And then what they say is they're over there talking about by 2026 that we're gonna have so many more radical climate change related events that it's gonna look like apocalyptic out there. And they go, look at them hyperventilating over these lies. They're looking to make money off of it. And then we see videos like this. And as we see those apocalyptic looking events that people said would happen, they go, it's beautiful, it smells great. Let's go outside and take a nice deep breath. You see how those arguments change? Are they now saying these are not apocalyptic views anymore? They stopped saying that part. Instead, they said, go in and take it all in. That's the process. That's how they get you to continue to be fooled. And then they go, why are all these people dying from these respiratory issues? Can't figure it out.